We've all got goals, things we want to get done, like working out more, learning an instrument, or finding a better job. But for many of us, we don't have a system or a way to reach those goals, and so we never really get there. We might live on autopilot or get distracted, and before we know it, we're stuck in a loop we don't even remember choosing. I've been there. I had goals, big ones even, but I was stuck. And deep down, I felt like I was letting myself down. If any of that sounds familiar, if you've ever felt stuck, unfocused, or just tired of falling short on the things you care about, this video was made for you. And these next few minutes could be the turning point. Because what separates people who take control from those who stay stuck usually comes down to just a few small differences. That's why I want to give you 3 simple steps that help me bring structure into my days and move toward the goals I care about. I hope they do the same for you. And if you're new here, I'm Moritz. I work as a sustainability consultant, and over the past few years, I've read dozens of books on self-improvement and personal productivity, testing what actually works in real life. All right, let's get started with point number 1. Now, when it comes to improving our lives, we often jump straight into action, trying to be more efficient, setting ambitious goals, or overloading ourselves with new habits. But before all of that, we should pause and ask, where do I actually want to go? Because if your priorities aren't clear, it's easy to lose track of what actually matters. That's why the first step is all about finding your direction. So if you haven't done this yet, take a little time to think about your goals. Grab a piece of paper or open Notion and just write out your dream life. What would it look like in a year or in 5 years? Use prompts that help you dream of it. What would you do if money wasn't relevant? What would you do if you couldn't fail? What would you give a TED Talk about 20 years from now? Now, whether you've already done this or not, you probably have some rough idea of your current direction. Still, don't skip this step. Writing your goals down and distilling them into something simple makes a real difference, and it actually increases the chances of reaching them. How can you go about it? I once attended a workshop by Ali Abdaal, and it helped take all my dreams and ideas and turn them into a few clear, actionable goals for the next year. It takes about 1 or 2 hours, and I found it really helpful. I think you probably will too. I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. So now your goals give you a direction, but they are not enough. Here's a quote from Atomic Habits, one of the best-selling self-improvement books of all time. Every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants to get the job. And if successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, then the goal cannot be what differentiates the winners from the losers. So even with clear goals, most people still struggle. That's because motivation helps you start, but it comes and goes. So what we really need to be successful is a system to make them become reality. First of all, break your big goals into weekly inputs. For example, instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, you set something like, I'll run for 15 minutes each Monday and Wednesday. Very important, keep this as easy as possible first, because often when the bar is too high, we tend to procrastinate. Focus on regular small steps before you increase the intensity or complexity. This part is crucial. It's where you transform your big goals into a clear, doable routine that steadily moves the needle in your favor. But your system isn't just made of habits. There's also some tools you might use to help you stay on track. First, use a calendar. I really can't stress enough how much awareness a calendar brings to your own time. But you gotta put in the work and keep it updated. I need to be able to see what I'm doing with my time so I can reflect on it later and change priorities. It also helps you plan ahead by putting time blocks in for the things you want to do. Also, a to-do app helps. I use Things 3 on my iPhone, which is clean, fast, and helps me stay on top of tasks, reminders, and routines. And then finally, I would highly recommend to use a note-taking app like Notion or Obsidian. And this is helpful for a few reasons. For one, to capture your ideas and thoughts, but even more importantly, to reflect on what you're doing. To turn that into a regular routine, I write a weekly reflection, which takes about 30 minutes to an hour. I'll get into that in the next chapter. I've been trying to write more over the last few years, and I really believe it's a great tool for anyone who wants to bring more clarity into their life. There's a quote I really like from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Writing distills, crystallizes, and clarifies thought and helps break the whole into parts. Now, all of these tools in your system, they should help you make things easier. But there are also other ways, or let's call them hacks, that can help you push through and overcome feelings of procrastination. For some people, it's easier, and all you need are a few gentle nudges, like tracking or monitoring your progress in an app to stay motivated, or simply blocking time in your calendar. For others, it might be harder. They might need to rely on an accountability partner, or use lock-in methods, like paying for a class or some coaching ahead of time. What I like to use is something I call a pact with myself. Each week, I have a list of things to do, and if I don't do them, I have to donate some money. No exceptions. And yes, this can be uncomfortable, but it works. No one likes the idea of losing money for no reason. That's why it gives me just enough pressure to get going with the things I want to get done. But of course, this is very personal. What works for one person might feel wrong for someone else. One last thing, design your system to also keep bad habits in check. If you're spending 20 hours a week gaming or on social media, it's gonna be really hard to work on something meaningful. As we all know, bad habits can take over your time if you're not paying attention. But counterintuitively, the solution is more about being clever and designing your environment rather than relying on willpower or motivation. The impact can be truly incredible, and you're gonna end up with more free time to spend on something meaningful. Now, what's great about a system is once it's running, you can actually be happy with it. You don't need to wait for a big result anymore. You can start enjoying the process. And that's where we go next in step 3. So what happens once your system is in place? This is where it gets real. You have to keep showing up and start turning your weekly inputs into habits. Just repeat them over and over again. And don't worry too much about the results in the beginning. We really need to focus on the inputs first. Once you've got things going and built a habit, then you can raise the bar and try to get better. And after a while, you're gonna notice a subtle change. Here's another great quote from Atomic Habits. Each habit not only gets results, but also teaches you something far more important: to trust yourself. You start to believe you can actually accomplish these things. When the votes mount up and the evidence begins to change, the story you tell yourself begins to change as well. As you repeatedly do the thing you want to do, you're also changing your identity. You're not just running, you become a runner. You're not just writing, you become a writer. Your habits shape your beliefs. And with that belief comes a pride in your effort, which helps you keep going. But step 3 isn't just about action, it's also about reflection. Because without it, your system stops improving. That means from time to time, we need to act as an observer of our own life. And the easiest way of doing this is, again, writing it down. Every week, take 30 to 60 minutes to review. These prompts work for me, but feel free to tweak them or use your own. Reflect on what you did that week, your accomplishments, current challenges, and what you've learned. But also review your long-term goals and work on where you want to improve and what you might want to change. Write it down. Writing helps you see the truth and spot patterns you'd otherwise miss. I also recommend a bigger review every quarter or 6 months, where you zoom out and reflect on the big scale, on how everything goes hand in hand with each other. Because working toward your goals also means working on yourself. And there's a few things I want to mention here. First of all, read books. This will give you new ideas and help you see your goals more clearly. Something scrolling on Instagram probably won't do as effectively. Also, talk to people and get some outside feedback. We all struggle with these things, and your friends or partner might see things you've missed. And also reflect on your mistakes. But don't get stuck in, what if I'd only done this or that 5 years ago? Because what really matters isn't your current position, it's your current trajectory. If that's pointing in the right direction, then time is on your side, and the benefits of your small habits will stack up over time. Alright, now I've shared what's worked for me. But keep in mind, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. And also no fast lane to change your life in a week or 2. This process takes time. And yes, you'll fall off track sometimes. Everyone does, and that's totally fine. But if you follow a plan and get clear on your direction, design a simple system, and take action, but also use reflection to guide it, then change becomes inevitable. I want to recommend 2 books that cover these things in detail, and I've actually mentioned both earlier in this video. Atomic Habits by James Clear is super practical when it comes to building good habits. The other one is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, which is more about mindset and long-term principles. The way these 2 books explain things makes it easy to remember. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments and maybe also drop your favorite productivity tip below. I'd love to learn from you too. Have a good one.